Well, today I want to talk to you about killing Osceola turkeys on Florida public land. And if anybody knows me, y'all know that's my one true passion. I'd give up deer hunting for the rest of my life if I could chase a turkey every day. If I got grease all over my head, forgive me. I've been working on these trucks. It's Sunday before youth weekend in South Florida, so I'm getting these trucks tuned up. Just picked up a new set of 37s for the Silverado. Get them put on tomorrow. Went through the front end of the big S10. Got it ready to go. I'll trailer it down most likely. Been piddling with Jay's new truck, and I just changed the oil on the Silverado, so should be ready to go. I'm gonna sit down and take a little break and talk to y'all about turkey hunting. Well, this is one of the things I've been working on. This is the new taxidermy shop. I still got to add on 12 foot out here, but coming along. I'll be mounting and working back there, doing all my fleshing on the addition I'm adding on, and then this section here will be a little office. I'm basically going to start this series like I did the deer hunting. Start at the ground and build up best I can on how I turkey hunt, stuff that works for me. I've turkey hunted all over the South, as far as, you know, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Carolinas. Never gone out west or anything. But we're going to talk about Osceola turkeys. We'll talk about turkey hunting Florida in general. A lot of people look at the line and they keep moving it north. The difference in the turkeys to me is just some behavior and then size. A lot of the turkeys you see being killed nowadays are in Osceolas. I wouldn't consider them Osceolas, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Turkey's a turkey. But like I said, I always start down the Everglades, so I'll be going down there for the youth weekend this coming weekend. And it's bad dry this year. But I just want to go through a few things that I do every year to find turkeys and then be successful. So I would say, just take for instance, I'm going down to the Everglades, kids have school, whatever. I'm leaving Friday. The hunt, the youth weekend is Saturday and Sunday. So I'm not going down there scouting, and a lot of the places it's closed to vehicle access anyway, up until Saturday and Sunday for the youth hunt. And then regular season, I think you get a day before the hunt to scout. So it's not like you can drive in there 20 miles and listen. I mean, you can take e-bikes, whatever, but I'm not doing none of that stuff. So I basically go in off terrain when I'm going in not knowing where birds are, but that's not ideal. I want to know where the birds are. So here local, in all the local management areas that I'll hunt, I've already been listening. So at daylight before working or whatever, I'm running out there listening. I've even rode through some at night, just tracking, looking, checking sand for tracks, and I'm marking where I'm seeing gobbler tracks and things like that, so I know to go back there and listen and all that. So I'm gonna go through what works for me. Yeah, I guess my style of turkey hunting would be considered run and gun, and probably extreme run and gun. Like, I'll call turkeys in. I know how to, I can use calls, whatever. But calling is almost my last resort. If I call, most of the time he's almost in range, or he is in range, and it's just or something to pique his interest right there, to get him to move one way or another, or hold him where he's at, or something like that. I'm not setting up at 200 yards from a turkey and trying to draw him to me. I'm just not going to do it. To me, that's stupid, but some people enjoy it. So finding turkeys, like I have basically a month before season opens here, and I'm already out pinning birds. So by opening day, I've got 30, 40, 50 different birds pinned, all over, different management areas all over the place. and I'm not the only one on the gun, so I'm basically, I mean, I'll shoot my 2 turkeys, but I'm taking somebody most every day. So, and we kill a bird about every day of turkey season. So you can do the math and see how many that is, but. So I'm constantly taking somebody with me and putting them on birds and things, but just having birds located is 90% of it to me, because you know, you can kind of look at terrain. You can kind of look at terrain and get an idea of how they're using a place. Like if he's got hens with him, you know, the hens are going to be feeding, pulling the gobbler around, strutting, whatever. If he's by himself, he may hit the ground running. You know, take off trying to find some hens. Or he may, a lot of times, a solo bird have a place or multiple places that he likes to go strut and gobble and try to pull a hen to him. So he may roost a mile from where he struts and gobbles. So he just flies down, and you think he shut up. You know, man, he flew down, gobbled one time on the ground, and I ain't heard nothing else. Well, no, he went a mile over there and he's gobbling his head off. So you kind of learn how they use the terrain, things like that, and different ways to cut them off. And then there's turkeys that don't gobble much. There's turkeys that fly down and basically don't move. They're right there all day. So it's all individual. You can't take one rule and just go wipe out the turkey population. But they are a stupid bird. You know, they got a brain about this big. People act like they're really elusive and hard to hunt, and it's not that complicated. You just gotta, it's just like anything else. You gotta learn what works. So let's just say we've got a turkey roosted, and tomorrow morning's opening day. So like you know, you'll see guys go in and set up 200 yards, and they're calling, they got the decoys and all that stuff, and sometimes they kill turkeys, whatever, you know, to each his own, it works. I'm gonna get just about under the turkey. I'm gonna get as close as I can get, but I don't want him, I want to kind of know where he's gonna fly out to, or how far he's gonna fly out. Like I can try to use my phone and throw some screen stuff in here, but just take, for instance, you got a dome cypress pond or something, and it's got an open edge, say a 50 yard edge all the way around it. Well, the turkey's roosted over here in some pines, and underneath the pines, as tall palm it is, it's all thick. He's not flying down in that crap. So you may be 100 yards from that turkey, but you know he's gonna pitch out to the edge of the pond. So I'm gonna be out there on the edge of the pond where I think he's gonna pitch out to. And in situations like that, there is no need to call. Now let him fly down, and if he naturally wants to come your way, that's great. If not, hit him with a light call or something, but there's no need to be just squawking and squawking and squawking and squawking. Once they know you're there, that's it. Now if you're talking to the hens, that's a little different. You know, I kill a lot of birds by talking to the hens, but I'm not calling him. I'm mimicking a hen basically, and I'm adding one note. So whatever she's doing, I'm doing it and adding one note. And eventually, or a lot of times, not always, but eventually it'll make her mad, and she's gonna come over there. And when she does, she's gonna pull the gobbler, you know, right there with her. People ask a lot as far as blowing crow calls, doing shock gobbles, or getting them to shock gobble. I hate a crow call with a passion, because everybody uses it, and I'm the guy that's looking at the bird in the tree, or, you know, in range of the bird at daylight, things like that 99% of the time, while I've got guys around me squawking on crow calls. And maybe not the opening morning or the first couple mornings, but after a few days, that's it. You hit a crow call, and that bird, he may gobble one time, but he may sell out 500 yards. He associates that crow call with a threat, and he don't want nothing to do with it. I had one a couple years ago. It was one of them old crazy birds, I was actually on the gun that day to fill a tag, and I got in there late because he was he roosted like 3 or 4 places. I didn't know where he was going to be roosted, and it was 3/4 mile apart. So I basically went and stood in the center at gobbling time. He gobbled, I took off, and didn't get in no big hurry. Got in there, and he pitched down and had 4 or 5 hens with him, and he was strutting. Eased up as close as I get, got in shotgun range, but he was kind of behind some palmettos and stuff. And he was as good as dead. All he had to do was just come out from behind, and he was about 3 steps from coming out behind it. I was just waiting on him to come out from behind it. And somebody 400 yards away blew a crow call, and the bird came out of strut and took off running, and that was it. So crow calls, I hate them with a passion. I would not carry a crow call. I carry a hawk call. I don't use it a lot, but other than, as far as local, other than people I've told about it, I don't see anybody using hawk calls. So especially like late morning or something like that, I'll just hit that hawk call. And a lot of times, if I don't have a bird located, or one's not gobbling, whatever, I'm scouting, listening, just trying to pin birds, whatever, I'll hit that hawk call, and a lot of times he'll gobble at it, and that's all I want. Just know where he's at one time, and I'm done with it. As far as my shotgun shells, I don't get too crazy. I pattern my guns. I got several different guns, but I like to carry an old New England model 12 gauge that I did some modification to, threaded it for a choke. I think I got a 6.65 choke in it, and been shooting hand load number 9s. Occasionally I'll shoot the cheap Federal 3rd degrees. Just depends on where I'm hunting. If I'm hunting somewhere that's fairly thick and I know I'm not going to have any 60, 70 yard shots or any need for it, I'll throw 2 3/4 inch Remington number 6s, the extra long range birdshot, just regular old 2 3/4 inch birdshot. They're cheap. You can buy a box of 25 at Walmart for a little bit of nothing, and I kill a pile of turkeys with them. So I don't get too worked up over all that stuff. I don't care about shooting them long range. I did shoot one last year, I think at 65, 70 yards or something, but I'd had him a lot closer, and I let him get back out there and shot him. But belly crawling, it's going to be a little hard this year on my solo stuff, just because I'm using this bigger camera instead of last year. When I was by myself, I used only GoPros. But I like them close, crawling, crawling, belly crawling. I'll get, especially if he hangs up strutting or something, I'll get right up in his bubble. I'll have some of the thick places I hunt, I'll belly crawl in there amongst them, because you can't sit out and call him. The bushes are this tall, you just can't. And he's using little bitty opening areas in there, and I'll belly crawl in and have him just about step over my feet and all that junk. The second one I killed last year, that's how he was. He came by me about 3 or 4 steps and some gallberries, just boom, and I had to let him get out there about 10 yards before I could shoot him. But last year was the first year I've ever used a decoy at all. I don't use decoys. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I don't really enjoy that style of hunting, but I bought a decoy to help with make the bird stand there a little bit longer when I'm taking young kids and stuff. So that's the only reason I bought it. Just to give the kids a little bit better edge, because a lot of times using that decoy, he'll hang out there a little bit. But I've seen it, especially later in the season, birds that's done been shot at around decoys and stuff like that. I've seen them, like I'm on a bird, got him coming out, say he comes to a road intersection or something, and there's some guy sitting down there 400 yards with a decoy, or 200 yards with a decoy, and I've seen the turkey step out there and see the decoy and just take off. So I don't use decoys too much. It's to treat them kind of like the crow call. You know, too many people use them. I do, as far as locating birds like now, I do the screech owl. Just and if they don't gobble at that, they ain't gobbling. But that's how I locate any birds. I mean, I don't sit around and waste time. I'm trying to find gobbling birds. I like birds that are just gobbling their heads off. And people say Osceolas don't gobble, and I kill Osceolas every year that gobble 100, 150 times between gobbling time and fly down time when they die. So, and then roosting them, same way in the evenings. They'll gobble their heads off. What people don't understand, and it's not the same every year. Kind of curious to see how this year goes because we had a fairly cold winter. But the trees here around the house are already greening up, but and we still got a month to go. But what people don't understand about a lot of these places, you can't hear far, especially guys coming down from Tennessee, Kentucky, where the leaves are off the trees at the beginning of the season for the most part. And you get on them, you know, you're listening down in the hollers or from ridge to ridge, you know, you're pinning birds at a mile. Right now with the leaves off the trees and a good slow wind, yeah, I can pin a bird at a mile here. But in a month, that may go to 400 yards. So that's what a lot of people don't understand too. They'll set up, they've got a bird gobbling at 300 yards up the tree. Well, he flies down away from them and he's gobbling his head off on the ground and they can't even hear him. They don't even know he's gobbling, but he's gobbling his head off because you can't hear that far. I mean, I think it was last year I had, 2 years ago. I took a boy in and got on a bird and it was like that. And we were in a narrow swamp and I'd kind of set up on one edge with him, just let the bird fly down, see what he was going to do, never called, never did nothing. Well, he pitched away from us and got on that other edge. And when he did, we thought, I mean, I didn't care. I watched him pitch down. I was looking at him up the tree, but we couldn't hear him. I said, well, he must have shut up. Well, we went to easing over there and got to 75 yards and you hear, he's over there just hammering the whole time, but we had to get 75 yards away to be able to hear him. So keep that in mind. You can't hear far. Once it greens up, you can't hear far. I'm just trying to touch on a whole bunch of things right now, but a lot of times I don't always wear a vest depending on where I'm hunting, but if I'm wearing a vest, a lot of times I'll keep a wing in it and I'll use that wing probably more than I'll use a call. Like even if I'm not doing a fly down, a lot of times I will do a fly down or multiple fly downs, but sometimes you can tell like a gobbler's not really interested or something. I'll do a hen fight, just squawking and flopping the wing, and then later in the morning I'll do like a hen. If you turkey hunted any length of time, you've seen them do it. The sun gets on the ground, they'll jump up on a log and stretch their wings out, and so I'll do that. I'll and flop, and a lot of times that'll draw one in. Just rubbing feathers on bushes, that'll get them to gobble. Scratching, I do use the wing and I scratch all the time. I've called more turkeys in scratching than I have anything, and I'll use that when I'm crawling. I'll sound like a turkey, so I don't care what kind of noise I'm making really. Like I'm not purposely trying to make a whole bunch of noise, but an animal makes a little noise when they're walking through the woods. So I'm trying not to break any big sticks, but I'll get down on my hands and knees or belly or whatever I got to do to gain that yardage. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm scratching. And I had, I'm sure y'all see Kevin on some of the videos that I'll upload soon. I called one in for him last year that was, gobbling his head off. He had to gobble 200 times between fly down and when we killed him. But he was by himself, didn't have no hens, and he was kind of a satellite bird. There was a bird with 5 or 6 hens that we were on at daylight, and he kind of pitched down and went the other way. And instead of messing with him, this other one was so fired up, we were like, let's go get that one. So we eased over there, and he got to a point in a cypress pond where there was like a 40-yard opening. And you had palmettos all the way around him basically. You really couldn't see it, but there was a couple little lanes. So I got Kevin up there, and he had to get up on his knees and lay his gun in like a fork in a tree, and he was kind of behind the tree, and I was trying to draw the bird into that little opening, and he's just gobbling his head off over there, and he's only like 30 yards, and doing that with two people is kind of tough. But so anyway, I backed up from Kevin just a little bit and just went to scratching and cutting and just acting like I was a hen over there feeding. And he was just hammering, but he wouldn't take a step. And finally I started drifting, and I didn't go 10 yards, but I started drifting back. I wanted to pull the bird this way, so I started drifting back, just feeding like I was gonna feed away from him, and he couldn't take it. And here he come right into the opening, and Kevin busted him. But scratching is very important, and a turkey can hear another turkey scratching for a long ways. Because I've scratched it, I don't know, at least 100 yards, 125 yards, and pulled them to me. A turkey's not going to sit by a tree and go for an hour. So if you're going to call, you do whatever you want to. But if I'm going to call and I'm going to try to call a bird in, I'm constantly moving. I'm not setting up by a tree. I'm being a turkey. I'm over here pecking this, I'm pecking that, I'm jumping up on a log, I'm going over here 20 yards, I'm going over there 30 yards, and just I'm being a turkey. And 99% of the time it works. So that's kind of touching on a lot of things. I need to get some more things done around here, so that's going to be it. But we'll just do this part one, and I can go more into detail on anything you want me to go into detail on. Just let me know in the comments. Let me know what you're curious about. If you're coming from out of state, tell me what you're looking for, and I'll see if I can help you out. Anybody coming from out of state that hasn't hunted before, even if you have hunted before, the first 9 days of our season here is absolutely packed, because guys they're off the weekend, they take the week off, they hunt the following weekend, Sunday night they're gone. So day 10 is when it gets good here. But anyway, got any questions? Comment, message me, however you want to do it, and I'll try to get into detail and answer them best I can. Good luck this season. Hope you enjoyed the video.